Have you ever wondered why some men in their 60s still seem to have the energy, control, and confidence of men 20 years younger, while others quietly struggle with problems they rarely talk about? I'll be honest with you. Over the years, as a doctor, I've had countless men come into my office whispering the same concerns. "Doctor, I can't hold it like before." Or, "I lose control too soon." Or even, "I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I sometimes leak a little urine." These are not rare problems. They're not even shameful. They're just part of how the body changes with age. But here's the shocking truth. Many of these struggles have a solution so simple that most men laugh when they first hear about it. Kegel exercises? Aren't those for women? That's the reaction I usually get, and then I lean in and say, "That's what you think, until you try them." Before we go deeper, let me ask you something personal. Have you ever tried to stop your urine mid-flow? That small, subtle squeeze you feel in your pelvis, those are the very muscles we're talking about. Muscles most men don't even know they have, let alone train. Yet they are the hidden foundation of male health, controlling your bladder, your sexual performance, and even the blood flow that makes erections possible. Think about this. We spend our lives training our biceps, our chest, maybe our abs. We push weights, we run, we cycle. But how many of us ever think about training the muscles we can't see, the ones that control the most private but powerful functions of our body? Almost none. And that's why so many men after 50 feel their masculinity slipping away, not realizing that one of the keys to restoring it lies in the quiet strength of their pelvic floor. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I had a patient. Let's call him Richard. He was 62, a retired firefighter. Strong arms, weathered face, a man you'd think could handle anything. But he came to me with his head down, his voice almost trembling. "Doc, I don't last anymore. And worse, I sometimes can't even control my bladder. I feel like less of a man." I could see the shame eating him alive. For him, this wasn't just about biology. It was about identity, confidence, dignity. I told him something that made him laugh out loud at first. "Richard, you need to start doing Kegel exercises." He stared at me. "Aren't those for pregnant women?" I shook my head. "No, they're for anyone who wants control, and that includes men like you." This is where the myth begins. For decades, Kegels have been branded as a women's exercise, a postpartum recovery tool. But the truth? The man who ignores them is like a warrior who sharpens his sword but lets his shield rot away. Because the shield, your pelvic floor, is what holds everything together when the battle of age begins. Now, here's what most men don't realize. Weak pelvic muscles can mean weaker erections, faster climax, and even embarrassing leaks when you laugh, sneeze, or lift something heavy. And the worst part? Many men chalk it up to getting old and never do anything about it. But age isn't the enemy here. Neglect is. Let's be real for a moment. No man enjoys talking about urinary leaks or bedroom struggles. Society tells us to tough it out, to be silent. But silence doesn't heal. Action does. And here's the best part. Unlike expensive pills, risky surgeries, or complicated gadgets, Kegel exercises require no equipment, no money, no prescription. Only awareness and practice. So here's the question I want to leave you with as we move forward. If the secret to reclaiming control, confidence, and even intimacy lies in a set of muscles you've been ignoring your whole life, wouldn't it be worth giving them just 5 minutes a day? Let's pull back the curtain and look at what's really happening inside a man's body. We all know about biceps, chest, abs, muscles you can see in the mirror. But hidden beneath your pelvis lies one of the most important yet most neglected muscle groups of your entire body, the pelvic floor. Now, when I say pelvic floor, most men picture some vague, soft area somewhere below the belt. But let's be precise. Imagine a hammock, a sling of muscle stretching from your tailbone to your pubic bone, wrapping underneath like a supportive cradle. This isn't just tissue. It's a living foundation that holds up your bladder, your rectum, and in men plays a vital role in controlling erections and ejaculation. So why does it matter? Because without strength in this hidden muscle group, control slips away. Literally. Think about when you were in your 20s. You could laugh, cough, run, lift, even drink a full bottle of water without worrying about leaks. Erections came quickly and stayed firm. Recovery was easy. That's not magic. It's physiology. The pelvic floor was strong, and the blood vessels feeding your manhood had pressure and support. But here's the cruel truth of aging. Just like every other muscle in your body, the pelvic floor weakens if you don't train it. And unlike your arms or legs, you can't see this muscle losing tone. It happens quietly, invisibly, until one day you notice things aren't the same. A man in his 50s might notice he has to rush to the bathroom more often. By his 60s, he may laugh and suddenly feel a small leak. Some men start to lose the ability to hold back during intimacy. Others find that erections don't stay as strong as before, and instead of realizing there's a muscular reason, they assume it's just old age. Let me give you an example. A patient of mine, George, was 58. He came in complaining about waking up 3 or 4 times a night to urinate. He thought it was his prostate. And yes, the prostate often plays a role. But when we tested him, his muscles were part of the problem. His pelvic floor was weak, offering no resistance to the bladder. It was like trying to hold water in a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Once he began strengthening those muscles, he reduced his nightly trips to the bathroom. His sleep improved, his energy improved, his marriage even improved, because intimacy returned. It's not magic, it's mechanics. Blood flow, muscle tone, pressure, and control. Now, I know what you might be thinking. All right, doctor, but why don't men hear about this more often? The answer is simple: culture. For decades, we thought of Kegel exercises as something only women needed. Pregnancy, childbirth, recovery. That was the story. But men? We were told to be strong, to keep quiet about leaks or failures in the bedroom. We learned to joke about it, to hide it, but not to fix it. Yet the science is undeniable. Studies show that men who train their pelvic floor muscles can significantly improve their ability to maintain erections, control ejaculation, and even reduce symptoms of urinary leakage. In fact, some urologists now prescribe pelvic floor training before trying pills like Viagra, because if the foundation is weak, the medication can only do so much. Here's the bigger picture. A strong pelvic floor doesn't just improve the bedroom, it can add confidence to daily life. Imagine not having to worry about leaks at the gym, during a walk, or in the middle of a laugh with friends. Imagine knowing your body is under your control, not betraying you at unexpected moments. That's what these muscles give back. So I ask you, if your arms can hold a heavy bag of groceries, why shouldn't your pelvic floor hold back your bladder? If your chest can stay strong with push-ups, why shouldn't your manhood stay strong with its own workout? Let's talk about results. Because at the end of the day, no man wants theory. He wants to know. What will this do for me? Will it really change anything? The answer is yes, and here's why. When you strengthen the pelvic floor, you're not just building muscle, you're restoring control. Think of it like upgrading the foundation of a house. The walls may look fine, but if the foundation is weak, cracks start showing. In the male body, those cracks appear as leaks, as lost erections, as a loss of stamina. Strengthening the pelvic floor fills those cracks and keeps the structure solid. Benefit number 1, stronger, longer erections. Most men think erections are all about hormones or blood vessels. Yes, those are critical, but they're not the whole story. Erections depend on trapping blood inside the penis, holding it there with pressure. Guess which muscles control that pressure? The pelvic floor. When these muscles are weak, blood escapes too quickly, and the erection fades. When they're strong, the blood stays trapped and the erection lasts longer. That's not fantasy. It's basic physiology. I remember a patient, Mark, 65 years old. He told me, "Doc, I thought my days of intimacy were behind me. Pills didn't help much anymore. My wife and we stopped trying." He looked broken as he said it, but after months of consistent Kegel training, he came back smiling. His words were simple. "It works. I feel alive again." Benefit number 2, better control. During intimacy, another major advantage, ejaculatory control. Many men don't like to admit it, but finishing too soon is a common problem, even more so as we age and lose muscular control. The pelvic floor acts like a valve. By strengthening it, you can delay release, giving you and your partner more time, more connection, more satisfaction. Imagine being able to choose when the moment arrives rather than being a victim of it. Benefit number 3, less urinary leakage. Now let's move outside the bedroom. For many men, urinary leaks are the elephant in the room. Cough, sneeze, or lift something heavy. And suddenly, there's embarrassment. You avoid long trips. You check for bathrooms everywhere you go. It's exhausting. But when the pelvic floor is strong, the bladder has backup. The muscles act like a guard at the gate, holding back until you decide it's time to go. This is one of the most liberating benefits of all, regaining the freedom to laugh, to move, to live without fear of leakage. Benefit number 4, prostate support. Here's something men rarely think about. The pelvic floor also supports the prostate. After 50, prostate health becomes a concern for almost every man. While Kegels don't shrink the prostate, they do improve circulation in the region, which helps reduce discomfort and can make other treatments more effective. Think of it as keeping the engine lubricated. Without flow, parts wear down faster. Benefit number 5, confidence. And finally, the invisible but perhaps most powerful benefit, confidence. Nothing destroys a man's spirit faster than feeling like his body is betraying him. Weakness in the most intimate areas often makes men withdraw, hide, avoid closeness. But once you feel control returning, once you realize you can laugh without fear, sleep without constant bathroom trips, love without shame, that confidence changes everything. Relationships grow stronger. Stress melts. Life feels lighter. Now, let me be absolutely clear. Kegel exercises are not a miracle drug. They will not make you 25 again, but they can give you back control that most men assume is lost forever. And the best part? No one has to know you're doing them. You can train these muscles while driving, while sitting in a meeting, even while watching television. Quiet, invisible, but life-changing. So let me ask you, if you could reclaim even 50% of the confidence you had in your prime, without surgery, without pills, without spending a single dollar, wouldn't you at least try? That's the reality of Kegel exercises. For men, they're not a myth. They're a tool too many of us have ignored, simply because no one told us they existed. By now you might be thinking, this all sounds impressive, but if Kegels are so powerful, why don't more men do them? Why isn't this common knowledge? That's a fair question, and the answer lies in one word: skepticism. Men have always been skeptical about things they can't see. If you do push-ups, you feel your chest burn. If you curl a dumbbell, you watch your biceps swell. But when you squeeze an invisible muscle deep inside your pelvis, there's no mirror to confirm progress, no sweat dripping to prove effort. And so, men laugh it off. I remember a patient, Paul, 61 years old. When I suggested pelvic floor training, he chuckled. "Doc, I came here for real solutions, not fairy tales." He wanted a pill, a surgery, a quick fix, something tangible. But here's the irony. Pills stop working once you swallow the last one, and surgeries carry risk. Muscles, on the other hand, adapt permanently if you train them. Months later, Paul came back to me humbled. He had finally tried Kegels out of desperation, and his words were almost sheepish. I should have listened earlier. The myths that hold men back. Myth number 1. Kegels are only for women. This is the biggest barrier. Yes, Kegels became popular for women recovering after childbirth. But men have the same muscle group, and research shows they respond just as well. Ignoring them simply because they were first marketed to women is like refusing to lift weights because bodybuilders do it too. Myth number 2. They don't work. You can't build invisible muscles. False. Multiple scientific studies prove otherwise. One British study found that men with erectile dysfunction who practiced pelvic floor exercises for 3 months saw significant improvement in function compared to those who didn't. Another showed reduced urinary leakage in men after prostate surgery. The evidence is there, you just won't see it on magazine covers. Myth number 3. If I do them, people will know. It's embarrassing. This one always makes me smile. Kegels are the most discreet exercise you will ever do. You could be doing them right now as you listen to me, and no one would suspect a thing. Unlike jogging in tight shorts or grunting under heavy weights, these are silent, invisible, yours alone. Myth number 4. I'm too old for this to help. Wrong again. Muscles can be trained at any age. I've had patients in their 70s improve control. The older you are, the more you stand to gain, because the weakness is greater, and so are the results when you strengthen. The science that proves it. Let's step into the research for a moment. One 2005 study published in BJU International found that pelvic floor exercises were more effective than Viagra for some men with mild erectile dysfunction. Another study showed that up to 70% of men with urinary leakage improved after 3 months of daily practice. And here's the kicker. Unlike medication, there are no side effects, no dependency, no sudden drop-off. Science is clear. These exercises are not a myth. They're not wishful thinking. They're real, measurable, and effective. But why don't we hear about them more? Because they don't make anyone money. There's no billion-dollar advertising campaign behind Kegels. No pharmaceutical company wants to tell you that a free, invisible exercise could solve part of your problem. So the conversation stays quiet, unless doctors like me bring it to light. Breaking the silence. When men finally accept the idea and give it a try, the usual reaction after a few months is surprise. They say, I didn't think something so simple could actually work. And that's the beauty of it. It is simple but powerful. Let me ask you a question. How many other areas of your health are you ignoring because they seem too simple to matter? Drinking more water, walking every day, sleeping enough. These aren't flashy, but they save lives. Kegels belong in that same category, a small habit with outsized impact. So here's the truth. Skepticism is natural, but it's costing men their freedom, their intimacy, their dignity. You don't need to believe in magic. You just need to believe in biology, and biology doesn't lie. The truth is simple. Age doesn't kill strength. Neglect does, and the pelvic floor is proof of that. Up to this point, we've talked about why Kegels matter and what they can do for you. But now comes the real question. All right, doctor, how do I actually do them? It's simpler than you think. No equipment, no gym. Just awareness and practice. But like any exercise, form matters. So let me guide you, step by step. Step 1. Find the right muscle. The easiest way is during urination. The next time you're at the bathroom, try to stop or slow the flow midstream. That squeezing sensation, that's your pelvic floor. Those are the muscles you want to train. Important, don't make a habit of practicing during urination. It's only a test. Doing it too often can confuse your bladder signals. Once you've identified the muscle, practice outside the bathroom. Step 2. Start with gentle contractions. Sit or lie down somewhere comfortable. Take a deep breath. Now contract those muscles as if you're trying to hold back gas or stop urine. Hold for about 3 to 5 seconds, then relax for the same amount of time. That's 1 rep. Repeat 10 times. Step 3. Build endurance. As your control improves, increase the hold to 5 to 10 seconds. Try for 10 to 15 reps. This builds stamina in the pelvic floor, the same way planks build core strength. Step 4. Add speed. Once you've mastered slow holds, add quick contractions. Squeeze and release rapidly, like pulses. This trains your muscles for sudden control when you cough, laugh, or need to hold back unexpectedly. Do 10-15 of these in a row. Step 5. Practice anywhere. The beauty of Kegels is discretion. You can do them while driving, at your desk, even during a meeting. No one knows. Consistency is what counts. Aim for 2 to 3 sets a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening. Common mistakes to avoid. Using the wrong muscles. Don't squeeze your stomach, thighs, or buttocks. If your abs or glutes are working hard, you're missing the point. Only the pelvic floor should be contracting. Holding your breath. Many men tense up and forget to breathe. Always breathe normally. This isn't a power lift. Overtraining. More isn't always better. Doing thousands of reps won't speed results. It may cause muscle fatigue and make symptoms worse. Stick to the plan. Short, regular sessions. Expecting instant miracles. Muscles take time to grow. Give yourself at least 6 to 8 weeks before judging progress. A simple training plan. Here's a routine I often give my patients. Morning, 10 slow holds, 5 to 10 seconds each. Afternoon, 15 quick squeezes, rapid contractions. Evening, 10 slow holds, 5 to 10 seconds each. That's it. 5 minutes a day. Invisible. Quiet, but powerful. The subtle shift. One of my patients, Henry, once told me, "Doc, I started your little exercise plan as a joke. I thought, what can 5 minutes a day really do? But then one night I realized I lasted longer. A week later, I noticed I didn't have to run to the bathroom so often. It snuck up on me, quietly. But it worked. That's how progress happens. Not in fireworks, not overnight, but in small victories that add up. So here's the challenge for you. Don't just listen to this and nod. Try it. Tonight, tomorrow, the next day. Put in the 5 minutes. In 3 months, look back and ask yourself, am I stronger, more in control, more confident? I'll bet the answer will be yes. Because Kegels for men aren't about magic. They're about consistency. And consistency is what transforms weakness into strength. The most remarkable thing about Kegel exercises isn't just the physical change. It's the ripple effect they create in a man's life. Because when control returns, so does confidence. And when confidence returns, everything else begins to shift. Let me share a few stories that have stayed with me over the years. Richard's quiet victory. Richard, the retired firefighter I mentioned earlier, had spent months feeling like less of a man. He couldn't hold his bladder, intimacy had become frustrating, and he avoided social gatherings out of embarrassment. He started the exercises reluctantly, almost mocking the idea. But 3 months later, he returned to my office transformed. He looked taller, stood straighter. His first words? "Doc, I went to my granddaughter's play and sat through the whole thing without worrying about rushing to the bathroom. Do you know how freeing that feels?" His voice cracked as he said it. For him, this wasn't just about control. It was about dignity, about being able to sit among his family and enjoy life again without fear. Mark's marriage reborn. Mark, 65, once told me his marriage had gone cold, not because he and his wife didn't love each other, but because intimacy had become awkward. Erections faded too quickly, and both of them grew frustrated. They stopped trying. I suggested pelvic floor training. He laughed at first, but desperation pushed him to try. A few months later, he came back almost glowing. "We're like newlyweds again. My wife actually thanked me for listening to you." It wasn't about performance. It was about connection. He rediscovered closeness with the woman he'd shared decades of life with. And all it took was consistency, in an exercise no one could see. George's night of rest. George, 58, had been waking up 3 or 4 times a night to urinate. His sleep was shattered, his energy drained, his mood darkened. His wife told me, "He's not the man I married. He's exhausted, grumpy, distant." After beginning Kegel training, something shifted. Slowly, the nightly bathroom trips decreased. Soon he was sleeping 6, then 7 hours without interruption. His wife later told me with a smile, "You gave me back my husband." It wasn't just George's bladder that improved, it was his whole household. Sleep heals everything, and his family felt the difference. The emotional undercurrent. Here's what these stories reveal. The benefits go far beyond the body. They touch relationships, marriages, self-esteem. Men rediscover laughter without fear of leakage. They walk taller in public, knowing their body is under control. They smile more, love deeper, live fuller. One man even told me, "Doc, I feel 10 years younger, not because of what I see in the mirror, but because of what I feel inside." That's the real power of these exercises. They don't just strengthen muscles, they restore manhood in the truest sense of the word, the turning point. But let's be clear, all of these men had one thing in common. They committed. They didn't just try for a week and give up. They stayed consistent for months. And because of that, their lives shifted. Too many men quit before they feel results. They assume it's not working, when in reality, the changes are building quietly, beneath the surface. The first sign may be fewer bathroom trips. The next, longer intimacy. Then, better sleep, more confidence, less shame. Like bricks stacking one by one until the wall is strong again. The question for you. So I'll ask you, how many quiet victories are waiting in your own life? How much dignity, how much intimacy, how much confidence have you given up simply because no one told you these muscles mattered? I've seen marriages saved, depression lifted, and men reclaim joy, all because of a 5-minute daily routine. It's not glamorous. You won't get applause, but you'll feel it in every laugh, every hug, every moment of closeness. And in the end, isn't that what we all want? To live with strength, dignity, and connection, no matter our age. When we first began this journey, I asked you a simple question. Have you ever tried to stop your urine mid-flow? A small, almost laughable act. But behind that simple squeeze lies the secret many men spend their later years searching for. The secret to control, to dignity, to confidence. We've peeled back the layers together. We've seen how these hidden muscles of the pelvic floor influence everything from erections to bladder control, from intimacy to sleep. We've looked at the science, debunked the myths, and heard the stories of real men, men who thought their best days were behind them, only to discover that a quiet, invisible practice could change everything. And now the question comes back to you. What will you do with this knowledge? Because here's the truth. You can dismiss it as too simple. You can laugh it off as not for men. You can let skepticism win. Or you can take 5 minutes a day to reclaim what time and neglect have tried to steal. 5 minutes. That's all it takes. 5 minutes to begin strengthening the foundation of your body. 5 minutes to choose confidence over shame. 5 minutes to prove that aging does not mean surrender. I've practiced medicine for over 30 years, and I've seen countless treatments, pills, and procedures come and go. But very few things are as accessible, as safe, and as effective as this. You don't need a prescription. You don't need a doctor's appointment. You only need awareness and commitment. Let me leave you with one final story. A patient of mine, Tom, once said to me, "Doctor, I always thought strength meant lifting weights or running marathons. I never realized it could also mean sitting quietly in my chair, training a muscle no one sees. But now I feel stronger than I have in years." That's the beauty of Kegels. They are unseen, but their impact is undeniable. They don't make headlines, but they make lives whole again. So, my friend, don't let this knowledge slip away. Tonight, tomorrow, the next day, Start. Begin with one small set. Build the habit. And in 3 months, ask yourself if you feel different, because I know you will. And remember, this isn't just about muscles. It's about living with dignity. It's about laughing without fear, sleeping without interruption, and loving without shame. That, in the end, is what stronger with time truly means. Not defying age, but mastering it. Not hiding from change, but shaping it. If this message has resonated with you, if you've seen even a glimpse of yourself in these stories, I want to invite you. Support this channel. Click like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Not for me, for them. Because too many men suffer in silence when the solution is right here, waiting. I'm Dr. Jonathan Whitman, and I'll be here with you on this journey. Because time doesn't have to make us weaker. With the right choices, with the right knowledge, we can become stronger with time.